When we talk about rock bottom, we're talking about that moment when it feels like everything has been stripped away. The job, the savings, the relationships, the home, the hope. That point where you look around and wonder, how did I get here? And is there any way back? Today we're sharing the stories of people who didn't just hit rock bottom, they crashed into it at full speed. People who lost everything they had built, and yet somehow, they found a way to rise again. These aren't just stories of survival, they're testaments to the extraordinary resilience of the human spirit, to the power we all have within us to rebuild, even when it seems impossible. Michael Carson was living the American dream, successful investment banker, beautiful home in the suburbs, 3 kids in private school. Then 2008 happened.
It wasn't just losing my job, it was watching my entire industry collapse. My investments became worthless overnight. We lost the house within 3 months. My marriage couldn't handle the stress. By Christmas of 2008, I was sleeping on my brother's couch, divorced, with $142 to my name and over $300,000 in debt.
Michael's rock bottom came when he missed his daughter's birthday because he couldn't afford the bus ticket to see her.
That night I realized I had 2 choices. I could let this destroy me completely, or I could use it as the foundation to build something new.
Michael started small, a financial blog helping others navigate the crisis. That blog became a podcast, which became a consulting business. Today, Michael runs a successful financial literacy nonprofit that has helped thousands of families avoid the mistakes he made.
I'm not grateful for the crash, but I am grateful for what it taught me about what actually matters. My relationship with my kids is stronger now than it ever was when I was rich, and the work I do now has purpose.
Sarah Lynn was 32, a competitive marathon runner and rising executive when a rare autoimmune disease left her unable to walk.
One month I was training for my 6th marathon, the next I couldn't get out of bed without help. I lost my job, my independence, and my identity all at once. The doctors told me I would likely never walk unassisted again.
Sarah's rock bottom wasn't the diagnosis. It was 6 months later when her disability claim was denied, her savings were depleted, and she found herself facing eviction.
I remember sitting on the floor of my apartment. I couldn't even cry anymore. I was empty. That emptiness was rock bottom for me.
What happened next wasn't a miracle cure. It was a phone call to an old college friend who connected her with an attorney who specialized in disability claims. That small action began a slow climb upward.
Rebuilding wasn't this dramatic movie montage. It was tiny steps forward day after day, finding the right doctors, getting proper treatment, learning to adapt, starting a small online business I could run from bed on my good days.
Today, Sarah walks with a cane, but she also runs an online community for young people with chronic illnesses that has become a lifeline for thousands.
I'm not the same person I was before. I'm stronger in ways I never knew I could be. My definition of success has completely changed.
David Matthews spent 8 years in prison for crimes committed during his battle with addiction. When he was released at age 43, he had nothing, no home, no job prospects, no relationship with his teenage children.
My rock bottom wasn't going to prison. My rock bottom was standing at a bus station after my release with a paper bag of belongings and the realization that I had absolutely no idea what to do next.
David's first break came from a re-entry program that connected him with temporary housing and a job washing dishes at a local restaurant.
It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. And for the first time in my life, I took pride in doing something well, even if that something was just making sure every dish was spotless.
The restaurant owner noticed David's work ethic and began giving him more responsibilities. Meanwhile, David began the painful process of making amends with his family.
My daughter wouldn't even look at me the first 3 times we met. I had to accept that and just keep showing up.
Over 7 years, David worked his way up to become the restaurant's manager. He started a hiring program specifically for formerly incarcerated individuals. He rebuilt his relationships with his children. Last year, his daughter asked him to walk her down the aisle.
I'm not proud of where I fell to, but I am proud of what I built since then. And I'm grateful for every person who gave me a chance I probably didn't deserve.
What these stories have in common isn't just suffering, it's what psychologists call post-traumatic growth. Dr. Maya Wilson. When we study people who have successfully rebuilt after catastrophic losses, we see certain patterns. First, they find ways to accept their new reality rather than fighting against it. Second, they identify what's still within their control, no matter how small. Third, they connect with others rather than isolating. And finally, they find meaning in their suffering. They use it as fuel to create something new. This doesn't mean their pain wasn't real. It doesn't mean they didn't have moments of despair or thoughts of giving up. Dr. Maya Wilson. Resilience isn't about never falling, it's about learning how to rise again. As different as these stories are, they share common elements that can guide anyone facing their own rock-bottom acceptance. All three had to accept their new reality before they could begin to change it. Small steps. None of them rebuilt their lives overnight. They started with tiny actions that gradually accumulated. Connection. Each found people who believed in them when they couldn't believe in themselves. Purpose. They all found meaning in their suffering by using it to help others. Identity. They embraced new versions of themselves rather than trying to reclaim exactly what was lost.
Rock bottom stripped everything away except who I really was. And once I saw that, I could build something authentic.
When you lose everything, you learn that everything wasn't what you thought it was. The things that truly matter, your courage, your capacity for growth, those can't be taken away.
If there's someone watching this who's at their rock bottom right now, I want them to know something. This moment doesn't define you. What you do next does.
Rock bottom isn't the end of your story. For these three, and for countless others, it was just the beginning of a new chapter, one they never could have imagined, but one that ultimately led them to lives of greater purpose, authenticity, and resilience. The question isn't whether you'll hit rock bottom sometime in your life, many of us will. The question is, what you'll build on that foundation when you do. Music swells as screen fades to title card Rising After Rock Bottom. Title Rising After Rock Bottom on screen text.